Happy Monday. How's everybody doing? This is Barbara Beckley, one of the co-founders of Celebrate You, and also the CEO and founder of the Diamond Factor LLC, where the mission is to make sure, especially women, understand, as I always talk about, your PPD, your purpose, your passion, and your drive. And today is the third Monday, which I bring to you PPD, Purpose, Passion, Drive Conversation live. So I hope everybody's doing okay. I know the weekend's passed. We're in another wonderful, magnificent, fabulous, tremendous, yes, Monday. And if you know me and you hear me talk all the time, I always say Mondays are good. Mondays are good. We will get through it. It's okay. It is okay. I always tell people, just look at it as like you're just springing up and you're saying to yourself, I got all this stuff beeping me as soon as I start stuff. Just say to yourself that, you know what, it's a new week to refurbish, to rejuvenate, to just look at things in another way if you need to, look at what you're working for, your goals in a different direction. Just say to yourself, hey, I got this. I'm going to rock it this week. And just write down, do your plan of action, whatever you do. A lot of people have different ways of writing down what they're working on. So you do it the best way you like it. And just say to yourself, I'm going to move forward. If I didn't get anything done last week, that's okay. That's okay. And it's funny because now that I'm saying that, this is kind of a little bridge in what I want to just communicate to you today. First, the month of the women. March is the month of the women. So I just want to say to all women out there that you are amazing, amazing. And I always push to let you know that you have that special gift in you. I call it the diamond factor. And the understanding of it is your foundation, your PPD. Understand that purpose, those gifts, those geniuses that you have in you, and the passion that comes behind it. You can always tell a person when they got passion. Always tell a person when they got passion. You're probably looking at me saying, okay, Barbara, we get it. And then that drive that comes right around to remind you of your purpose and passion. What I always say is your stories, what you go through, good, bad, and ugly, is very important because those are stepping stones, as I say, stepping stones to your strength. And those are stories that you can give to the world and tell the world out loud. Don't feel embarrassed or ashamed at all, but out loud, so people understand that they are not the only one that might be going through something. They're not the only one that is dealing with a certain situation in their lives. There's a connection there. And then once they get that connection and say, oh, I'm not by myself in this boat, as they call it, those saying, but I see that only this individual that I didn't think that went through something like that, dealt with it, got over it, moved forward, and blossoming. So that gives you hope. That gives you hope. So with that, we're going to go talking about that. I want to talk about forgiving. I was struggling with something just the other day, and I was telling myself, why am I still struggling just a little bit? Why am I still struggling with some guilt that I have? Now, I told myself, when you're thinking about your purpose, when you're thinking about what you're here to do, when you're thinking about those gifts and talents that you have, and you do have them, each and every one of you, that's what makes you unique. That's a side note. Things can start to bog you down a little bit in order to find that purpose. And one thing that can bog you down is not forgiving. Not so much of forgiving maybe another person, but the biggest thing that I see about forgiving is forgiving you and not feeling guilty over things that you might have done or might have not done and you think you did. Now, I know you're probably saying, if I should know if I feel guilty about something, I mean, or why I feel guilty about something. But a lot of times that what you feel guilty about is not even pressed upon you. It wasn't even your fault sometimes. Sometimes it's not, it wasn't you. Like I said, it wasn't me. It wasn't you in certain instances. And I want to give you an example of that. But first, before that, I want to give you, I always love the quotes. So the quote I want to just for you to just dig into and listen to, forgive yourself. You are not perfect. Okay, you're not perfect. We're not perfect. I'm just putting the memo out there right now. We are not perfect. So right there takes a big heavy weight, should take a big heavy weight off of you. Show yourself grace. Show yourself grace. The Father of all, God, if you believe in it spiritually, whatever you believe in, I feel like the biggest thing, we all still go up to him. You are still learning. He gives us grace. We got to give ourselves grace. We're still learning. Until you die, you're always going to be still learning. I keep telling people that there's no stopping from learning. There's no like, okay, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm done learning. No, I just learned something today. I just learned something. Well, I learn something every day, but I'm just saying, I just learned something every day. I learned something from somebody. If you keep your ears open and your mind open, you will learn. So give yourself grace. You're still learning through the process of life. Through the process of life. Show yourself patience. Show yourself patience. You are on a journey. We're all on this journey of life. We're in this journey of PPD, of your purpose, passion, drive. It's a journey. I was just talking to the visionary and co-founder of this, excuse me, of Celebrate You. And I was telling Luana, I said, as I keep getting into doing more research and really taking a hold of the PPD concept that I always talk about, because that's like in me, that's just like my, that's, I just yell it out to everybody. That's my foundation of what I do within the Diamond Factor. And I tell, especially other women that I talk to and mentor and coach, I said, your purpose, you're going to have those gifts always in your life. They don't go away because the gift is in you. It's just like embedded in you. But as you grow, as you get older, as you move forward in life, you might be doing different things within that purpose, but that main purpose is still going to be there. See, a while ago when I first started this journey about the PPD, I was just like, no, you had that one purpose, and until when you were born, and until you get whatever age that you're gonna, live out to, that's just your purpose, your main purpose. And I had to check myself on that. I had to truly check myself on that, because you have those gifts, but it might take you in different directions as you're growing, because you're learning. If you sit yourself and say, this is it, this is what I do, this is the only thing I do with my purpose and stuff, then you're closing yourself in. You're putting yourself in that box that people always talk about that I don't like. Put yourself in that box. Don't put yourself in that box with your purpose. Never do that. You have so many things in life that you can do with what you do. If you're a great organizer, do you know how many people and how much you yourself can help the world? Period. Because there's a lot of us that are not. And you can get into the thing of, okay, being strategic, being organized, all that comes together. You see how things connect for your purpose. So never close yourself in saying, I just have this one particular purpose, all I do, because my gift is talking. Well, gift of talking can go in so many different directions, in so many different levels in life. So just remember that when you're searching out and you're looking for your purpose. And I just went off of my road because I'm talking about forgiveness. So I was going to side note. I got to bring it back. I know, bring it back. I digress. But I want to dig just more into forgiving, because it's one thing to forgive another individual if something happened, if you two didn't, communication broke down or something happened, or whatever the case may be, why a person needs to forgive another person. You need to forgive, even if they don't accept your forgiveness, even if they say, I don't accept your apology or whatever. You have to do it for you. You have to forgive for yourself so you can open yourself up to make sure that you know that you're getting into your purpose. And I am so sorry, but this dinging is just kind of distracting, and I don't know why it keeps doing it. I thought I turned it on. Okay. Yeah, so you have to forgive you have to forgive yourself for you, not so much for the other individual. Now, when the other individual forgives you, that's like, icing on the cake, a little cherry on top. But the biggest thing is you have to make sure that you forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself in order to move anywhere. This is not just learning about your purpose, passion, drive. You got to forgive yourself in all the areas so you can move forward. Because guess what? That unforgiveness, you go back in that box again. And you don't need to be in no boxes. You're too valuable and you're too important to be stuck in a box. So get yourself out the box, forgive that individual. If they don't forgive you, that's another thing you're going to have to let go too. Because sometimes people are like, well, they didn't forgive me, and I don't know if I can forgive myself because they didn't forgive me. So I'm just going to sit here and just be sad about it because I don't know what to do because they didn't forgive me. You know what? That's on them. That's on them. You cannot let that go. See, you can't take the other person's, I call it garbage, and put it in your backyard. That's on them. If they want to hold a grudge until they leave this earth, that's on them. They got to work on that. But you have to work on your forgiveness to let that box expand and blow up. I'm just blow up the box. I'm like today, just blow up the box. Get rid of the box. Get rid of boxes in your life. You need to move forward. It's just so important to do that. Now, the other part of this about forgiving yourself. I'll take you back. And what I was talking about, I was feeling guilty about something just a few weeks ago. It popped up in my brain again. And I thought I had it together. Have you ever had a point where you thought you had everything, you forgot about it, you're good with it, whatever you might have been feeling guilty about or whatever, even if you were supposed to be feeling guilty about it, you kind of like said, okay, it's done. I'm not even thinking about it. And all of a sudden, it pops back up. And you're like, okay, now I thought I dealt with this. Has anybody had that issues before? I know I have, and I still do. So that's why you have to continuously use the tools around you to tell yourself how awesome you are and you need to forgive. Now, I was feeling guilty. I was thinking about my mother. Now, it would be, now because today's my birthday, so I'm just thinking I always have to go by my birthday to see how long she's been gone. It's been 13 years now. It's been 13 years since my mother's passed. And she passed from a heart attack, but she was on dialysis and it was really taking a toll on her body. And she had a heart attack that morning when, in fact, I was going to work. So I was on my way to work that morning, didn't have a chance to talk to her because usually I used to talk to her every single day. And this particular morning, it was weird because I didn't. Got a call from the hospital. Hospital told me, well, we have your mother. She's in, ICU right now. She had a heart attack and we had to put a stent and try to put a stent in her. But with her being dialysis patient, stuff like that, that's taking another hit on her. So basically that heart attack really kind of took her to a whole nother level medical wise. So I had to wind up turning my car around in the midst of me getting to work because I live in Wisconsin, I work in Illinois, and I had to turn around, go straight to the hospital, and be there for my mother. So when I was sitting next to her bed, and I was just looking at this small wisdom of a lady laying in the bed helpless. Now, this is the type of mother that you would never see. That's the last thing you would see is her being helpless. She was, I call her my sergeant. If people know, I tell the story. She was like Sergeant Beckley, Sally Beckley. And she didn't take no mess. She did not want anybody to do anything for her. She was like, I got this, leave me alone. But with, when it set in, when she had to go find out about, her kidney and be on a dialysis, everything, it took a lot on her body and her health. and she became very fragile, and to the point where she just couldn't do a lot of things she couldn't do anymore, to the point where she got to that point about having a heart attack. So I'm sitting there, I'm in her bedroom at the hospital, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, this is not my mother. I cannot believe that this is her. And when I was saying that, see, that's why I say you look at the sign, you look at what's going on around you when things are happening. So when I was saying that, she turns her head because I was doing a little small whisper. And I was like, oh boy, see, even that time I was like, oh boy, I'm getting in trouble. She was a 73 years old lady, 73-year-old lady, turns around at me and she looks at me and she's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm still fighting. I might be so weak and can't even see you or whatever, but I'm still fighting. I said, Ma, you keep fighting. When you fight, I'm going to fight. We're in this together. So I told myself I wanted to make sure that she got the best. I wanted to check with the doctors to see what was going on, whatever the case may be. So I was trying to get myself prepared because it was that bad. I mean, to the point where when I finally talked to a doctor, they told me we probably give her a day, maybe two. And I was like, wow. So you're just basically telling me that her life's going to be gone in a little while. And they told me, yeah, probably a day or two. I said, is there anything you can do for her for the pain? Because she was going through a lot of pain. She's going through a lot of pain. They had, they stuck tubes in her and a whole lot of things was going on to try to keep her comfortable. And I'm like, how do you keep somebody comfortable with all them tubes? I don't know. I just was wondering. I'm like, how do you keep somebody comfortable with them tubes? So after the doctor told me that, it was when I came back in the room, my mother, one thing she loved to watch is her soap operas. And General Hospital was on at that time. So I sat back, turned it on, laid back with her, and we watched the soap operas together. Well, I kind of watched it. She was in and out of sleep. So she looks at me and she's like, I'm just so weak. I'm so tired. She said, I just need to just get some more rest. I said, Ma, you just rest. I just kept telling her, you just rest. She said, but I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave you. And I thought she meant like leave, like, she's going to go to the washroom. I don't know and then what she meant was she didn't want to leave me on this earth by myself. She said, I don't want to leave you here by yourself. You need me. I need to fight for you. And I said, Ma, it's going to be okay. I just want you not to be in no more pain. And she was such in so much pain, but she was still trying to do the talking, still trying to stay in and out. She was in and out of sleep. So when a few hours passed, and she was getting her sleep on, and I just kind of got away from her bed and I went to the nurse. I said, is there anything else that you can do for her? Because I know she's in so much pain. And the nurse was like, that's all. That's it. That's all we got. We can't give you nothing else, Miss Beckley. I don't know what else you want. I mean, this is what we're doing. And then she walks away. So then I asked the doctor, I said, doctor, is there anything? Because she keeps, she can't go to sleep. She's in and out. Doctor, like, can't do nothing else. Can't do nothing else. So that whole scenario was going on to the end. Now that night, after my mother went through, she had she went cold blue twice. She went cold blue twice. And they told me the last time that they revived her, they said, Barbara, you're going to have to make a decision, because if she recovers this second cold blue, that we can revise her, she'll be a vegetable. She won't be able to really know who you are. She'll be in a bed for the rest of her livelihood, and you would have to take 100% care of her. What do you want to do? So I'm standing there in the hallway of the hospital while two doctors are talking to me and a nurse about asking me, what do I do with my mother's life? Has anybody ever been in that predicament before? Not too happy camper, let's just say that. It was rough. I have to say it was the most hardest decision I had to make in my whole life. And I had to let them know I don't want my mother going through pain anymore. This is her second cold blue. You're telling me this woman that was feisty, a fighter, didn't want anybody doing, had her own business, all this stuff in her whole life, fought through everything, fought through so much in her life to tell me now I have to let her go and make this decision. And on top of that, if I make a decision to say no, keep her on the ventilator, what is that going to do for her? That's not her at all. That was not how she would live and would want to live. So I had to make the decision, tell them no, take off the ventilator, let her go. Let her be. Let her be. I don't want her no more pain. No more pain. So I made that decision. She passed away 2 hours after I made that decision that night. I'll never forget, 9:35 on a Saturday night, May 26th. And I tell myself, I was telling me when I left that hospital, I felt guilty. I felt guilty. I wanted my mother to forgive me that I had to make that decision that she couldn't live in this life anymore. That's how I felt. And I carried that on for a little bit. And what I mean by a little bit, I mean like a few years, a little bit, if you want to call that a little bit. A few years I carried it on. Because first I felt guilty because I just felt like I needed to find any doubt, somebody to get her back to where she was. Because I was her daughter and I felt like that was my obligation to make sure that she was comfortable, that she was happy, and that she wasn't in pain. Then after I had to make the decision to let this individual and say she's no longer going to be here, I had to make that decision to do that. So I feel guilty in two instances. And I kept saying, well, what else could I have done? Maybe I should have called a second opinion. Maybe I should have made another phone call to another, hospital. Maybe I should have moved her back to Illinois because she moved out to Wisconsin because I had to take care of her because she couldn't take care of herself anymore by dealing with the dialysis and everything. So all that was going through my mind. And I was like, did I miss it? Did I mess up? So I felt myself tackling on this guilt that I put on myself now. I put on myself. No one didn't sit there and come to me and say, you should have did this, you didn't do this, you picked the wrong decision, you should have. There was nobody around it. That was me. That was all the voices in me saying all of this. And I found out that it was stagnating the things that I had to do to move forward in my life. I had to go through the mourning period of my mother not being here anymore. I had to go through, okay, I need to get back. I got to make sure everything's set for her funeral and everything. And then I got to move from there and make things set that I can move forward in life. But I was stagnated in certain places because I was so busy thinking about woulda, coulda, shoulda, what I could have done for my mother. After 3 years now, 3 years, I finally let it sizzle out. Because I told myself, I said, okay, I'm talking about purpose. I'm talking about I have to move forward. I'm talking about helping women. I'm telling women to, do their purpose, to do their genius, to do what they do. And I'm sitting back, still holding on to something 3 years ago. That is not going to work. That is not going to work here. There's too much work to do. So I had to let it go. I let it go. But it came up. Like I said, I thought I was done. I was like, I'm done. I'm moving forward. I got the Diamond Family going. I'm on stage, on virtual stages. I'm just yelling out, screaming out purpose, passion, drive. And then it hit again last week, a few weeks before today, which is my birthday. And the first thing I said to myself, if my mother was here, if I would have did whatever, she would have seen the growth in me. But then I had to tell myself she sees the growth in me. She's always in me. She's always going to be with me. God will always allow the good memories and the talks that we had and the yelling that we did and the back and forth that we did, all of that, just to say, you are strong. And she wanted you to move forward in life. She knew you had a purpose. She knew about the diamond. She knew that it had to come to pass. So I had to let it go again. I had to let it go. And I had to say, okay, I got to forgive myself, get rid of that guilt that I put on myself. That's the worst thing you do. It's one thing for one person to make you feel guilty. It's another thing when you make yourself feel guilty. I think that's a little bit more difficult sometimes instead of somebody else making you feel, because you can always say, you know what? You can go there. I'm done. We're done with this conversation, whatever. I'm moving forward. I got to move forward. But when you put all the guilt because you put it on yourself and stagnate you from moving forward what you need to do, then that's a whole nother level that you have to work on, because sometimes it wants to seep back in. Just being real here. We're not, what did I say? Forgive yourself. You are not perfect. I'm not perfect. I had to show myself some grace. And then I had to understand to show some patience, because I'm doing that journey. You are all in a journey in life. Through your purpose, passion, and drive, you have a journey in life. There's going to be these kind of hills going on. There's going to be the unforgiveness. There's going to be the guilt that's going to slap you in the face sometime. There's going to be people telling you can't do certain things. There's going to be what I always say, those hurricanes and earthquakes in life that will just come and then come again and then come again and then maybe one more time. But what you have to do is tell yourself, no matter what it is, this piece, this PPD in you, that foundation has to be rooted and built on that foundation, the PPD. Because when all that stuff comes up, when everything around you feel like it's not going in the direction that it's supposed to go, that you feel like it was supposed to go, then you got to tell yourself, I know my PPD though. I know what I need to be doing. I can't let this stop me. There's too many lives that are going to need me to tell the stories, to tell the story, so they can move forward and understand who they are and don't feel that they have to keep things in. See, we're all together here. This is not a one island thing. Everybody's like, I'm on my own island, all that old saying. No, this is, we all have to come together. And how we come together is we have to first work ourselves out of certain things, get rid of the guilt, forgive, believe in yourself, know that you have a gift, know that you have a genius. No, you have to know all that. And once all that comes, then you can flow. Then you can feel more free. I mean, just me doing that, I just felt good with my back. You can just feel more free and you can move forward. So I leave you with this until my next time to see you on the first Monday of next month. Forgive you. Forgive it. You're not perfect. Put it out there. Tell yourself, I am not perfect. I'm forgiving me. I'm not going to feel guilty about something I had no control over. No control over it. It was a process that needed to happen in life. My mother's time was done. And I had to understand that it wasn't me. It was just timing. And then I had to give myself some grace and learn from the whole experience of it to move forward and the purpose that I know I had. And then I had to be patient with myself. Don't beat myself up just because it came up again a few weeks ago. So that's one thing I had to do too. I couldn't beat myself up because I was thinking again about the guilt thing. I said, okay, Barbara, you got to deal with this. Get the emotions out, deal with, you got to cry, scream, whatever. I always tell people, then after that, sorry, this is what happened. Then after that, you can move forward. You can say to yourself, okay, calm down now. I can move forward. So, and then after you move forward and you show yourself some patience, you take on that journey. We take on that journey together. We take it on. And while we're taking that journey and we walking with each other and strong with each other and each other's purpose and passion and drive, we just walking and cheering each other, give us high five and just loving it. Then after that, you tell somebody else, you come in somebody else's life and you help them and you show them that there's hope. And you show them that. So I went a little bit longer than expected, but I'm led every time I come on, especially with Purpose Passion Drive. That's just like my all. When I'm led to say something, and I just want you to also know that if you haven't figured it out, that's another thing. I don't want you to beat yourself up. I want you to take that time for yourself because I want you to be happy and you to be content in what you believe, what you do, and your purpose and the passion behind it. So take that time. And I said a few weeks ago, sit somewhere, wherever you got to go. If you got to go to maybe drive to the park or to the lake, or maybe you have somewhere in your house or apartment, whatever, where it's real quiet. And get that pen and that piece of paper and write down. That's a brainstorming session just for you. And write down everything that you can think of that you love to do. Anything, I don't care what it is. If you like throwing a ball at the wall, write it down. If you like looking at quotes all day, write it down. I want you to write down everything you love and everything that you know that you can do. Because that's when you start searching out and putting in perspective what your purpose is. It's a process. Take the process, be patient with the process, and you're going to get there. So with that, everybody, as we always say, up and celebrate you, queens, Queen Diamonds out there, and celebrate you. Love yourself. Love yourself. Embrace yourself. Brace yourself with your PPD. But whatever you do, celebrate you. See you next go round next month. Appreciate you. Bye.